Welcome to X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network and Vikings.com. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, is joining us to talk about a game that is taking place in 3 days and a team that beat the Las Vegas Raiders, and we are in deep stretch of the 2023 National Football League season. Just a couple of quickies, Kevin. Back to the Raiders game for a second. I know we're here on a Wednesday getting ready for the Bengals on a Saturday, but getting the money in Las Vegas, at the end of the equation, that mattered most. I mean, a lot of details on which to focus and work and improve. Getting the money there in that 3-0 thing, that was big.
Yeah, there's no question that every time we go out there, we'd love to score 30 and ring the bell a few times, but defensively to get the performances we've gotten out of them in a time where we're trying to really work through, some adversity on offense and to get the special teams performance we did. In the end, I know, the fantasy football world we live in, nobody, as an offensive coach, nobody more than me wants to go out there and light up the scoreboard.
Wow,
but
a rare fantasy reference.
The idea is, the whole time last week was to come back with our 7th win, and we did that.
Yeah, if they started Joseph, they got 3 points.
That's exactly right.
That's really all you need.
That's right.
Speaking of kicking, there were a couple of times last week publicly that you stressed the importance in a game like that game against Las Vegas of flipping the field.
Yep.
And the punter came through with 4 inside the 20. I mean, personally speaking, I thought that was massive.
Yeah, I thought it was huge, and we've worked it, we've talked about it. Field position in the NFL, it's a critical stat, and especially when you are in a low-scoring game, every yard matters. I thought some of the things BP did, trying to get us some yards back and see if we could get those tough, decision-type catches for a punt returner and turn them into a 5, 10, 15-yard gain. Those all matter. And then, like you said, Ryan Wright stepping in there and having 4 inside the 20 and really good directionally to help with our coverage units and, all the way around. I thought it was a really solid effort.
And with him, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I just don't remember a lot of the directional punts last year. I mean, is that something on which he's working and looking to improve every game?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times last year we were trying to, rookie punter, just let him, take some swings at it and hit it with hang time and some depth there, let our gunners get down there. Now we're really trying to hone in on trying to pin the returners in certain areas and leverage those returns and really take advantage of the fact that we are getting some friendly looks because we faked a couple this year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people are anything even close. We're getting a lot of safe looks and allowing us to really hone in on getting some coverage down there and take advantage of Ryan's ability to pin people deep.
How often do you practice the pooch?
Yeah, that's a one every couple weeker, and didn't get the greatest of swings from Greg there, but kind of in that gray area where we wanted to make sure we were using some clock at the very least. And I've lost a football game at the buzzer one time against the Ravens when I was in Cleveland kicking a field goal. Not super similar situation, but when it was blocked and returned for a touchdown. It goes back to head coaching decision versus, 6-0 feels a lot better than 3-0 when you look back on that one. But the best thing to do in that moment was, to get Depot to fire a snap to Greg. And you'd love to kick it high and allow that clock to kind of naturally tick off and no returners on the field. So you feel good about if they do try to field the ball, maybe we get ourselves a cheap turnover to add to the 2 our defense already had in the moment. So kind of a situational call. The analytics guys out there probably loved it. I would have loved a little bit better execution, but that's why we go back to work.
Well, you mentioned like the status quo analytics, like overarching view that people will read. Well, if that were the case, you'd go for 2 every time.
Yep.
You never would punt.
Yep.
I mean, just all of that. I'm sure you've seen that, right?
Yeah, and the one thing we've talked about this before, I know.
And our 2-point game, by the way, was the bomb last year. Our 2-point game's really good.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because those are scoring plays. We've got to get down in the red zone to have some decisions to make on that, obviously. But no, I think you look around the league and you see, some of the scenarios down 14 and you score like Tennessee did last week. There's some things that we absolutely would really look long and hard at. But I think it's important nowadays to understand, as great as all of that information is, and I value it tremendously, it's a huge part of my decision making, there's still a feel. There's still a feel of how the game's going, what particular side of the ball is playing well for your team and where you want to kind of hedge on the risk that comes with that. Because in the end, we are winning close games, trying to without some of our best players in there, and significantly losing players throughout a game like that on offense. That's where I was most proud, PA, about our ability not to turn the football over no matter what. And I think it's a great lesson because we found a way to win a game where we weren't at our best, even close to it offensively, but we did not turn the football over, and the defense really in the end ended up forcing 3 with that final play, kind of pitch it around play that ended up helping our margin for the year.
Punting fan line undoubtedly continues later, and we expect Greg Coleman and/or Sean Landetta to join us. But for now, Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, is on X's and O's. And personally speaking, I just love what you guys have pulled from DJ Wanham this year.
Yeah.
I mean, really hitting stride. What do you like when you watch it back?
He just does everything well. No matter what in our defense, everybody highlights Daniil's production, rushing the passer, and Josh Metellus, Harrison Smith, and Cam Bynum at the safety positions, and that's all unique. But to make a lot of it go, that other guy on the edge, whether he's dropping, whether he's rushing, getting to the quarterback for another sack like he did last week, or being a real force in the run game, setting edges, playing with physicality. Flo very early on identified DJ as a guy that could kind of be the jack of all trades type player, great compliment to Daniil on the other side. And he's taken that role and really turned it into, his best season and really turning into a really impactful player for us. I absolutely love DJ Wanham.
And Cam Bynum, over the years, Cam's done some good things. But again, there's another one that this year it just seems in this defense with the way you guys do it and run it and change it, I mean, he fits it perfectly.
Yeah, and the way that he complements Metellus and Harry, and when we go to different groupings, those guys are playing. They're just X's out there, and they can be playing different spots. Go ahead and try to label them on a depth chart. I'd love to see your call sheet up there in the box. Trying to figure out what Troy Dye
when 4 or 5 got that sack.
Trying to figure out what to call some of these guys, but that's the nature of it. Because offensively, we have to try to figure out who's who and target things accordingly, and that's one of the ways you can very simply cause some confusion for the other side. And Flo and his guys do a great job with that.
And Metellus, I mean, both safety spots, inside linebacker, outside linebacker. I mean, what positions has he played like this year? Inside corner, what?
I think depending on the look, I'm sure we can find some clips where he's gone out there to the outside corner spot and matched the tight end or a back. He's around the line of scrimmage a lot. He's in the deep part of the field. He's being the middle runner against the Packers, stealing an interception there down the middle of the field. Had another opportunity versus Denver. It's his versatility, but it's great to be versatile, but it's his effectiveness of doing all those jobs really, really well. He's been one of those guys that I've always thought of as kind of that, guy that can fill a lot of different roles, physical enough in the run game, great blitzer, has some ball skills, great tackler in space. And it's always kind of shown up historically throughout his career in the kicking game. A lot of those skill sets have just been applied to the defensive side of the ball, and he's thriving, really, really playing well.
Is one of Nick Mullens' top traits his arm strength?
I think he's got good arm strength for sure, but where it looks like his arm strength is really coming to life is his suddenness, his compact delivery, his ability to play grounded and get the ball out in rhythm on time, be a great decision maker, be accurate with the football, and then the football IQ and understanding of this is the coverage, this is what we're hunting on the play. Did we get that look? Did we not? Where is my progression starting, continuing, and finishing? That's where Nick's comfort in our offense really came to life late in the game, trying to find a way to move the football without B.O. and Maddie and JJ in the game. And Nick brought us down the field and did exactly what was required in the moment to find a way to those massive 3 points.
Now clearly the Bengals are down Joe Burrow, and the game is at noon on Saturday on KFAN and the Vikings Radio Network. Defensively speaking, Trey Hendrickson and the rest of the Cats, how similar are they from what you see now to what you saw a couple of years ago when you beat them in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they're similar from a standpoint of Hendrickson and Hubbard on the edges, B.J. Hill inside, Logan Wilson, a lot of those the players that I remember getting ready for, where they've kind of changed and morphed a little bit is on that back end. They're much younger at the safety spot. They lost a couple players in free agency and they replenished those guys with some young players. I've always I've always thought that, you know, at the nickel spot, you know, they have a really strong player, good blitzer, guy that's really sticky in coverage. In Hilton, and then, you know, Awuzie, whether going back to my time in Washington when he was in Dallas or since transitioning to Cincinnati, expect him to match Justin and follow him around, and that'll be a great matchup to watch two really good players going at it.
And with Jake Browning, the former Viking at quarterback, he was on the practice squad here 2019 and 2020. Is the screen game more prominent with them right now?
They're the best screen team in the NFL.
Oh, they are?
Whether it's Joe in there, whether it's Browning, Zach and his staff do a great job. They want to try to, whether it's the receiver screens, getting them touches, and trying to get a guy like Jamar Chase touches because he's you know, one of the best in our league after the catch. That's really what makes him such a special player. But then Mixon and, you know, Brown, the rookie from Illinois, you know, these guys are really good with the ball in their hands. They break a lot of tackles. I think they're second in the league in you know, yards after contact as rushers, and they're second in the league as far as receiving yards after the catch. So you've got a collection of skill players that you've got to have an elite day tackling, and it's those ones, PA, that whether it is a safety in space, and if you make the tackle, it's a gain of 3 or 4. If you don't, it goes for 25 or 30. So the way they kind of get distribution of the field and spread you out and really try to activate things, that's what makes them so difficult, because at any point in time, all down and distance, you can get one of those screens.
Right.
And the execution is great. The linemen understand the timing, the landmark, and they become really hard plays to defend.
And with Joe Mixon, I would imagine he's going to test the run defense with that bruising style.
Yeah.
He's just tough.
I mean, he runs through. Very rarely does he get tackled by the first defender. That's why you got to get multiple Vikings to him when we can. It's going to be a challenge. I mean, they get him. He's a gun runner. He's a dot runner. He can really run the wide zone, get downhill as a physical, you know, duo, you know, downhill, get behind double teams type runner as well. So between the screen game and their ability to be effective with really Mixon and Brown as kind of a, you know, 1-2 punch, they've got the ability to move the football very efficiently.
Yeah.
And then just when you start to load up that box, play a little bit more single high, they're taking timely shots to Higgins and Chase outside, and those plays change the whole dynamic of the game.
And screen plays, correct me if I'm wrong here, I mean, those could be gotchas against the blitz at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I mean, that could be nasty.
You know, that's you know, if you're going to live by the blitz, you know, eventually people are going to get some plays schematically diagrammed against you, and we've seen that at times this year, but our guys have reacted and they're ready for kind of the problem plays for what defense we are in, because consistently when you're applying pressure like we do, you kind of see the playbook over the course of the season, and that allows our guys to react and recognize, diagnose, and go make a play.
Fastest to 20 wins in the history of the team. That's super cool, man.
Thank you, PA.
Congratulations. Good luck Saturday.
Appreciate it, man.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery, and I'm Paul Allen. When we return, inside linebackers coach Mike Saravo joins us on X's and O's on Vikings.com and the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network.